I can't even count on both hands how many times I've heard the saying, well, you're the common denominator, so maybe you're the problem. I feel like people find it a lot easier to victim blame rather than to hold toxic and narcissistic people accountable, because they know that the victim is the one that might be easier to change. And I hate sayings like this because it puts in the victim's head that somehow them being mistreated is their fault. And they always say, oh, well, you need to pick better, as if toxic and narcissistic people don't come into your life acting the same as everybody else would. And in fact, a lot of times they come in giving you that love feeling even stronger than a healthy person would. They might love bomb you and, shower you with gifts and affection and attention. And if you're someone who is coming from a background of abuse or neglect or anything like that, you might be a lot more susceptible to falling for that because you didn't have a clear example of what healthy relationship looks like and how healthy people act. So I hate when people try to make that point that, oh, well, how do you keep getting into abusive relationships, or how do you keep getting manipulated, or how do you keep ending up around this type of people? You must be the problem. But I'm here to tell you that you're not the problem. You're just a person who wants love and companionship like anyone else, and there's nothing wrong with that. The real problem is that being someone with trauma puts a target on your back, and narcissistic and toxic people look for people like you because you're the perfect candidate for the things that they're trying to do. A person who is used to being treated well and grew up in a healthy household or didn't experience certain things, if someone treats them in an improper way, it'll set their alarm bells off in their head a lot easier than it would to somebody who grew up in a hectic household that, maybe they were emotionally abused or physically or even sexually abused. To someone who had a toxic household or has been through certain traumas, certain things may be normalized to them even though they are not normal. But if you've experienced something a whole bunch of times, you get desensitized. And so now when a new person is coming around and they're nice to you for the most part, but they have certain characteristics that may be a little off, but they're also familiar, you might be like, oh, well, yeah, they get drunk and they curse at me, but my dad did the same thing, or my mom did the same thing, So a lot of times you either won't recognize it or you will recognize it, but you make excuses for it because you think that that's an occurrence that everybody experiences, because we all look at life based off what we have experienced. If you experience something from a young age and then you see it repeating, you're going to think, oh, that's how life is, because you haven't been able to experience life in somebody else's shoes. So if you find yourself in a lot of toxic situations with toxic people, whether that be romantic relationships, friendships, work colleagues, anything, don't think that that's your fault that that's happening to you. Instead, know that certain traits that come out of our trauma stands out to those type of people, and that's why they gravitate towards us. But that is not your fault, and the way to remedy that is with boundaries. You have to know who you are, you have to know what you're comfortable with, and you have to stand on that. And one thing about a lot of people who've experienced trauma who are empathetic is that we are always trying to give other people so much grace because we know of the shortcomings that we may have because of our experiences. A lot of times we make excuses for people that we love or people that we know or people that we trust. We cannot go through life doing things that way because that's how people learn how to deal with us and learn, oh, yeah, she's just going to make an excuse for me. Like, she's not really going to do nothing if I talk to her the wrong way or I put my hands on her or I do whatever, because she wants to see the good in me. And a lot of times it's hard to not see the good in people because you want people to see the good in you despite, certain things that you might have, and like I said before, certain shortcomings. But unfortunately, giving other people that grace can sometimes do more harm than good. So you just can't, unfortunately. Especially as someone with a good heart, you have to set boundaries. And your boundaries literally protect you from the predators in life. Because there's no shortage of people who want to do you dirty. There's no shortage of people that want to take from you and take advantage of you, and who don't mind ruining your life, ruining your emotional health, your mental health. They don't care. So you have to care about yourself, and you have to set those boundaries so that way they can't just come around you and do whatever and have you in whatever position. A lot of times we try to say, oh, well, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. But little do you know that they would hurt your feelings and heartbeat if the tables were turned, or if it was beneficial to them. So it's not your fault. 110% is not your fault. But from this point forward, make it your business to know who you are and stand on that firm and know what you will not accept.